love my son, but let's be honest, he is married to a burden." The words land like a sharp slap across my face. My mother-in-law, Gloria Whitmore, smiles sweetly at the other relatives as they laugh around the large mahogany dinner table. I can feel the heat rising behind my eyes, and my chest tightens until it feels like I can't breathe. I look down at my plate, watching the steam rise from the expensive steak that I paid for. Just like that, I have been reduced to a simple joke in a room full of people who are supposed to be my family. Gloria enjoys the attention, leaning back in her chair like a queen on a throne. She looks at me with pity, as if I am a stray cat they took in out of the kindness of their hearts. The humiliation is heavy, and it fills the room until there is no space for anything else. I want to stand up and scream the truth, but I stay still. If I speak now, I will ruin everything I have been planning for this very evening. I have to wait for the right moment to show them who I really am. Gloria continues, waving her hand dismissively in my direction as if she is brushing away a fly. "She doesn't work, she doesn't contribute. Honestly, I don't know what she brings to the table besides a pretty face and a quiet voice," she says. More laughter ripples through the room, louder this time. I force a stiff, polite smile to stay on my face, even though my heart is pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. Every word she says is a calculated strike meant to make me feel small and worthless. She wants everyone to believe that I am a leech living off her son's success. She wants to be the hero of the story, the mother who saved her son from a lazy wife. I watch her take a sip of her wine, looking completely satisfied with herself. She has no idea that every single thing she is bragging about, the wine, the food, the very chair she is sitting in, is only there because of my hard work. I let the laughter continue because I know it is the last time they will ever laugh at my expense. I glance at my husband, Caleb, hoping for a single spark of loyalty or a word of defense. He shifts uncomfortably in his seat, adjusting his tie and looking anywhere but at me. He says nothing. Not a single word to defend the woman he swore to protect and honor. That silence hurts much more than Gloria's insults ever could. It is a cold, sharp betrayal that settles deep in my bones. Caleb knows the truth, or at least he knows enough of it to know his mother is lying. But he is too afraid of her judgment to speak up. He would rather let me be humiliated in front of our entire extended family than risk a disagreement with his mother. Watching him look down at his plate makes me realize that I have been carrying him for years, and he isn't even willing to lift a finger to save my dignity. The man I thought was my partner is just another person watching me drown while he stays dry on the shore. This realization is the final piece I needed to move forward. What no one at this table knows could change their lives in a heartbeat. They see me as an unemployed burden, but the truth is hidden in the shadows they refuse to look into. The house we are sitting in? The one Gloria constantly brags about? The massive renovation she tells everyone she oversaw last summer? All of it exists because of me. I am the one who navigated the property market, secured the funding, and managed the contractors while she was busy at her garden club. And the business that Caleb runs? The one that provides the income for this entire family's lifestyle? I am the one who built the foundation. I wrote the business plan, I secured the initial investment, and I am the one who handles the high-level strategy that keeps the doors open. I did all of it quietly because I didn't need the applause. I thought that supporting my husband meant building a legacy together, not broadcasting my name on every sign. But Gloria mistook my quiet strength for total weakness, and that was her biggest mistake. I never needed the credit. I preferred working in the background, building, investing, and supporting our future from behind the scenes. I found peace in the silence of my home office, watching the numbers grow and the influence of our brand expand. But tonight, I see that my silence has been used as a weapon against me. Gloria thinks that because I don't shout about my achievements, I don't have any. She thinks that because I am kind, I am stupid. She has spent the last 2 years treating me like a servant in my own home, demanding that I handle the small things while the men do the real work. She has told every relative who will listen that I am a lucky girl who hit the jackpot by marrying Caleb. She has no idea that the jackpot was actually me. Tonight, I am finally going to stop holding up the floor for people who are trying to step on my head. I am ready to let the truth out, and I am ready to see what happens when the foundation they rely on finally stands up. Gloria leans forward, her eyes gleaming with a mean sort of curiosity. So, Amara, since you have so much free time, I've decided you'll be handling the entire charity auction next month. It'll give you something to do besides spending Caleb's money, don't you think? The relatives all look at me, waiting for me to nod and accept the gift of more unpaid labor. They think she is being generous by giving me a task. I take a slow sip of water, feeling the cool liquid calm my nerves. I'm afraid I'll be quite busy next month, Gloria, I say softly. Table goes quiet. Gloria's smile falters, her eyebrows twitching with annoyance. Busy? Doing what? Another one of your little hobbies? You really should try to be more useful, dear. The condescension in her voice is thick enough to choke on. Caleb looks at me, his eyes pleading with me to just agree and keep the peace. But the peace is already gone. I have spent years keeping the peace at the cost of my own soul, and I am officially out of stock. It's not a hobby, Gloria. It's actually a very large acquisition, I say, my voice steady and clear. A few of the cousins laugh, and Gloria rolls her eyes. An acquisition? Listen to her using big words she heard Caleb use on the phone. It's cute, really. Caleb lets out a forced chuckle, trying to bridge the gap between his mother's cruelty and my sudden boldness. She's just joking, Mom. Amara just likes to read business news, that's all. He reaches for my hand under the table, but I pull it away. He is trying to save me by making me look like a delusional child. He thinks he is helping, but he is just adding more fuel to the fire. I look at him, and for the first time, I don't see the man I love. I see a man who is terrified of the power his wife actually holds. He knows that if the truth comes out, his image as the successful businessman will crumble. He is desperate to keep me in the box Gloria built for me. I'm not joking, Caleb, I say, looking him directly in the eyes. The laughter at the table dies down as people realize I am not backed down. Gloria huffs, crossing her arms over her chest. Enough of this nonsense. We are here to celebrate Caleb's new contract, not listen to your fantasies. Caleb, tell them about the expansion. Tell them how you're going to take the Whitmore name to the next level. Caleb starts to speak, his voice full of practiced confidence. He talks about his vision and his strategy. He uses the exact words from the report I wrote for him last week. It is a strange feeling, hearing your own thoughts coming out of someone else's mouth while they take all the credit. He looks so proud of himself, basking in the admiration of his family. He has forgotten that he didn't even understand the logistics of the deal until I explained it to him 3 times. He is a puppet who has started to believe he is the one pulling the strings. I let him finish his speech, waiting for the buzz of my phone in my pocket. Right as Caleb finishes his story, my phone vibrates. I pull it out and see the message I've been waiting for. We are outside. Ready when you are. I put the phone back on the table, screen up. I feel a sudden cold calmness wash over me. Time for being the burden is over. You know, Gloria, I say, interrupting the applause for Caleb. You're right about one thing. This family's success is incredible. But you're wrong about who built it. Gloria's face turns a deep shade of red. Amara, that is enough. You are being incredibly disrespectful. If you can't behave, you can leave the table. I stand up, but I don't leave. I smooth out my dress and look around the room at all the faces that have looked down on me for years. I'm not going anywhere. But I do think it's time we had some guests who can clarify a few things. The front doorbell rings, the sound echoing through the house. Everyone freezes. No one was expected. Caleb looks panicked. Who is that? We didn't invite anyone else. I smile at him, a real, sharp smile that doesn't reach my eyes. I did. I invited some people to help me with my hobbies and projects. I walk toward the foyer, the sound of my heels clicking on the tile floor like a countdown. Behind me, I can hear Gloria muttering about how I've finally lost my mind. I open the front door to find 3 people standing there. 2 are men in dark, expensive suits carrying leather portfolios. The third is a woman I've known for years, one of the top financial auditors in the country. They don't look like people coming for a casual visit. They look like people coming for a takeover. I lead them back into the dining room, and the silence that meets us is absolute. The relatives stare in confusion, while Gloria looks like she's about to scream at the intrusion. My unemployed life is about to get very, very public, and I can't wait to see their reactions. What is the meaning of this? Gloria demands, standing up so fast her chair almost tips over. Amara, who are these people? Get them out of my house this instant. I stay calm, gesturing for my guests to take the empty seats at the end of the table. Actually, Gloria, that's part of the reason they're here. To discuss whose house this actually is. The woman auditor, Sarah, opens her portfolio and pulls out a stack of notarized documents. She doesn't look at Gloria or Caleb, she only looks at me. Ms. Whitmore, we have the final audit of the holding company ready for your review. We also have the deed transfer papers and the investment records you requested. The room feels like the air has been sucked out of it. Caleb's face goes from pale to a sickly green color. He knows Sarah. He knows exactly what her presence means. He tries to speak, but his voice is caught in his throat. The burden just brought the hammer down and the house of cards is starting to shake. Hold on a second, Caleb finally stammers, leaning on the table for support. Sarah, what are you doing here? This is a family matter. Amara, what have you done? I look at him with a steady gaze. I haven't done anything, Caleb. I'm just finalizing the paperwork for the Whitmore Group. Since your mother was so concerned about my lack of contribution, I thought I should make my role official for everyone to see. Gloria looks between me and the documents, her eyes wide with a mix of fury and fear. What role? You don't have a role. Caleb is the head of the company. It has our name on it. Sarah clears her throat and looks at Gloria for the first time. Actually, ma'am, while the company uses the family name, 90% of the voting shares and the entirety of the intellectual property are owned by a private entity called AC Holdings. And AC Holdings is 100% owned by Amara Carter Whitmore. The silence that follows is so heavy it feels like a physical weight pressing down on everyone. Gloria lets out a shrill, hysterical laugh. That's impossible. Amara doesn't have any money. She came from nothing. Caleb, tell them she's lying. Tell them you own the company. Caleb doesn't say a word. He just stares at the documents on the table as if they are a death warrant. He knows the truth because I'm the one who made him sign the papers when we started. I told him it was for asset protection and tax efficiency. He was so happy to have the title of CEO that he didn't care who actually owned the shares. He wanted the prestige and I wanted the security. Now that security is his undoing. The relatives are whispering now, their eyes darting between me and Gloria. Power in the room has shifted so fast that nobody knows where to look. The burden is suddenly the boss, and the hero is just an employee who forgot who he works for. I sit back down in my chair, feeling more powerful than I ever have in my life. One of the men in suits, a lawyer named Mr. Henderson, speaks up. There's also the matter of the residential property. According to the records, this house was purchased through the same holding company 3 years ago. The funds were sourced entirely from Ms. Whitmore's personal investment portfolio, which she built prior to and during the marriage. Gloria looks like she's about to have a heart attack. My house? You're saying this is her house? She looks around at the walls as if they are suddenly closing in on her. I picked out the curtains. I chose the paint. This is my family home. I look at her calmly. You chose the paint with my money, Gloria. You lived here because I allowed it. You treated me like a guest in my own home while I paid every bill and handled every mortgage payment. You called me a burden while I provided the very roof over your head. The irony is so thick it's almost poetic. She has been biting the hand that feeds her for years, and the food has finally run out. The relatives who were laughing at me 10 minutes ago are now looking at their plates in shame. My sister-in-law, who had been whispering about my lucky break, now looks like she wants to disappear. The shift is complete. I am no longer the quiet girl in the corner. I am the center of the universe. I want to see those papers, Gloria snarls, reaching across the table to grab them. Sarah slides the folder toward her, completely unfazed. Gloria flips through the pages, her hand shaking so hard the paper rattles. She sees the signatures. She sees the bank statements. She sees the legal seals that prove everything I've said is true. Her face changes from anger to a deep, hollow realization. She looks at Caleb, searching for a lie she can cling to, but he just shakes his head. "It's true, Mom," he whispers. She handles the back end. All of it. The real work he bragged about was just him playing dress-up in a world I built for him. "Why?" Gloria asks, her voice suddenly small and broken. "Why would you hide this? Why would you let me believe, why would you let us all believe you were nothing?" I stand up again, looking at every person at the table. "Because I wanted to see who you were when you thought I had nothing to offer you. I wanted to see if you would respect me for being a human being or if you only respect people who can do something for you. And I got my answer. You didn't see a daughter-in-law, you saw a target. You didn't see a partner for your son, you saw someone you could use to feel superior." The room is silent. There is no defense for what they've done. They all know I'm right. I have been the silent architect of their comfort, and they rewarded me with cruelty. I look at Caleb, who is finally looking at me, his eyes full of a strange mix of fear and admiration. It's too late for the admiration. He had 5 years to show me he valued me, and he failed every single day. "The acquisition I mentioned earlier is for the Whitmore Group," I continue, my voice echoing in the quiet room. "A larger conglomerate wants to buy our logistics division. As the majority shareholder, I have already signed the preliminary agreement. The restructuring will involve a complete change in management." Caleb's head snaps up. "Change in management? What does that mean for me?" I look at him with a cold, professional smile. "It means you will be reporting to a new board of directors, Caleb. And your performance will be reviewed based on your actual contributions, not on your last name. And as for the house, I've decided to sell it. It's too big for one person and I'm ready for a fresh start." Gloria gasps, clutching her chest. "Sell it? Where am I supposed to go?" I shrug my shoulders slightly. "I'm sure you can find something suitable with the charity work you're so fond of. Or perhaps Caleb can support you with his new performance-based salary." The reality of the situation finally sinks in. Gloria realized she has lost everything, her status, her home, and her control over the family. She looks at me, and for the first time there is no hate in her eyes. There is only desperation. "Amara, please, we're family. We can work this out. I didn't mean those things I said. I was just joking." I shake my head. "No, Gloria. You were being honest about how you felt. And now I'm being honest about what's going to happen. You don't get to treat people like trash and then ask for their help when the wind changes. Respect is a two-way street, and you've been driving on the wrong side for a long time." I turn to the lawyers and Sarah. "Thank you for coming. Please leave the documents for them to review. We can finalize everything at the office on Monday." They nod, pack their things, and walk out, leaving a house that feels completely different than it did an hour ago. The relatives start to clear out quickly, making awkward excuses about having to get home. They don't want to be around for the fallout. They don't want to look at the woman they mocked now that they know she holds their future in her hands. Soon it is just me, Caleb, and Gloria left in the dining room. Table is still covered in expensive food that no one wants to eat anymore. Gloria is slumped in her chair, staring at the wall. Caleb is looking at me as if I'm a stranger. Amara, I don't even know who you are anymore, he says quietly. I walk over to him and look down at the man I once thought was my soulmate. I'm the same person I've always been, Caleb. You just never bothered to look closely enough to see me. You were so busy being the man that you forgot to be a husband. You let your mother treat me like garbage because it was easier than standing up for the truth. I'm sorry, he says, but the words feel empty and hollow. They are the words of a man who is sorry he got caught, not a man who is sorry he caused pain. I realize at that moment that I don't feel anger anymore. I just feel finished. I've spent so much energy building a life for these people, and I have nothing left to give them. The house sale will go through in 60 days, I say, my voice devoid of emotion. That gives you and your mother enough time to find a new place. I'll be staying at a hotel until the paperwork is finished. My lawyer will be in touch about the divorce and the corporate restructuring. Gloria lets out a small sob, but I don't turn around. I've spent too many years worrying about her feelings while she trampled over mine. It's time to worry about myself. I walk toward the stairs to pack my things, feeling a strange sense of freedom with every step I take. Upstairs, the house is quiet and beautiful. I look at the photos on the walls, photos of a happy couple that never really existed. We were a production, a play written by Gloria and performed by Caleb, with me as the silent stagehand. I pack my bags quickly, only taking what is truly mine. I don't want anything that reminds me of this place. I realize that I don't need the big house or the fancy title to be happy. I built those things once and I can build them again, but this time I'll do it for myself. I'll build a life where I am respected for my mind and my heart, not just for what I can provide for others. I feel a weight lifting off my shoulders that I didn't even know I was carrying. The burden is finally letting go of the people who were actually weighing her down. I zip up my suitcase and take one last look around the room before heading back down. As I walk back down the stairs, Caleb is standing in the hallway. He looks like he's been crying. Amara, please don't go. We can fix this. I'll change. I'll stand up to her. I'll make everything right. I stop and look at him, feeling a wave of sadness. Caleb, you had 5 years to make it right. You had every single dinner, every single holiday, and every single day in between. You only want to change now because you're losing the lifestyle I provided for you. That's not love, that's fear of being poor. He reaches out to grab my arm, but I step back. Don't. It's over. I've already contacted the movers for my personal items. The rest stays with the house. I walk past him toward the front door, my heart steady. I can hear Gloria in the dining room, talking to herself, trying to make sense of a world where she isn't in charge. I don't hate her. I just pity her. She lived her whole life thinking power was about loud voices and bullying, and she missed out on the real power of loyalty and love. I open the front door and step out into the cool night air. Feels amazing. The stars are bright, and the world feels wide and full of possibilities. I realize that I've spent so much time building a foundation for others that I forgot to build one for my own happiness. But that changes tonight. I walk to my car, the one I bought with my own money, and load my bags into the trunk. I look back at the house one last time. It's just a building. It's not a home. A home is a place where you are safe and valued, and this place was never that for me. I get into the driver's seat and start the engine. I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I know I'm moving forward. The silent architect is finally moving on to her next project, herself. And I have a feeling it's going to be my best work yet. A few weeks later, the news of the Whitmore Group's acquisition breaks in the business journals. The headlines talk about the brilliant strategy of the majority owner Amara Carter. People are shocked to learn that the woman they thought was just a socialite wife was the brain behind the whole operation. My phone hasn't stopped ringing with offers from other firms and investment groups. It's a strange feeling to be seen after being invisible for so long. Caleb and Gloria moved into a modest apartment on the other side of town. I heard from a mutual friend that Gloria is still telling everyone she meets about her successful past, but no one really listens anymore. Caleb is struggling at the company under the new management, finding out that being a boss is a lot harder when you actually have to do the work. I don't feel joy at their struggle, but I do feel a sense of justice. They are finally living the lives they actually earned. I am sitting in my new office now, looking out over the city. It's smaller than my old one, but it's entirely mine. There is no one here to call me a burden or tell me my work doesn't matter. I have a team of people who respect me, and we are building something truly incredible. I've learned that power doesn't have to be loud to be real. Doesn't have to be cruel to be effective. The most powerful thing you can do is know your own worth and refuse to let anyone else define it for you. I take a sip of my coffee and turn back to my computer. I have a new acquisition to finalize and a new legacy to build. And this time, everyone knows exactly who is in charge. I was never a burden, I was the bridge. And now that I've crossed over, I'm never looking back. I am Amara Carter, and my story is just beginning.